Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Brianna and I post weekly videos, so make sure that you are subscribed and have on that bell notification. So today I'm going to be sharing some of my podcast recommendations just in case you're stuck at home, bored, have nothing to do. Here are some great podcasts that you guys can listen to. Okay, so most of these are going to be about either the news or crime. So if you're not into that, then this is probably not going to be good recommendations for you. The first one that I've been listening to a lot lately is My Favorite Murder. I think they started in 2015 or 2016, but I just discovered them recently. They have so many episodes. I think there are about at least 400 episodes because there are 213 regular episodes and then 166 like mini shorter episodes. So some of them are only about 15-20 minutes long. Some of them are all the way up to an hour and a half. You can binge these forever. They talk about different murders, but with kind of like a comedy, fun type of conversational twist on it. So I love this podcast hosted by two women. Okay, the next one on my list is also crime. It's called Crime Junkie. So this one, let me see how many episodes they have. I think they don't number them. So Crime Junkie is also hosted by two women and they explain different types of crimes. Most of them are murders, but some of them might be attempted murder or other types of crimes. It kind of has more of a serious, more of like a reporting type aspect. Like they're trying to get to the facts of it. And this is super, super interesting. They do so much research and have so many details, and they are really great at telling the story in a very interesting way. So that one is Crime Junkie. Okay, next, this podcast is called Serial. There are a couple of different seasons, but the first season is by far the best one. So the first season of Serial is about this guy named Adnan, who in 1999 was accused of killing his high school girlfriend. They kind of dig deep into a whole bunch of stuff, and honestly, listen to the podcast and let me know what you think. If you've already listened to it, do you think he's innocent or guilty? Because this whole case, not just on this podcast, but in general, has so many different speculations about whether or not he actually did it. So Serial Season 1 is super, super interesting. And me personally, I do not think this guy did it. So check out Serial Season 1. I think there are 2 other seasons, but they just weren't as interesting to me, for me personally. Okay, next is The Daily. This is by the New York Times, and basically it is just a quick daily podcast Monday through Friday that gives you updates about what is going on in the country and in the world. Guys, listening to the news or just watching, reading, whatever you like to do is so important, especially now because there is so much going on. I have a degree in journalism and I was formerly a reporter, so I started listening to this just to kind of keep up with everything that is happening. So this is hosted by a New York Times reporter. Sometimes they interview different politicians, different officials and stuff like that, and usually the episodes range from maybe between like 10 to 30 minutes, so they're just quick and short. I used to listen to these every single morning as I was getting ready for work, but now I am out of work because schools are closed right now and I am a substitute teacher. Okay, next is Waveform. So this is kind of like a tech type podcast by this YouTuber who I love watching, which is Marquez Brownlee, or MKBHD. Yeah, MKBHD. So Waveform is usually about an hour or so long. I believe they post a new podcast every single Friday. They talk about everything from cars to computers to phones and just in general everything tech. So it's super interesting. Also, his YouTube always has the most amazing, best quality content. So that is Waveform. Next is Atlanta Monster. So this is another crime podcast. This entire season, I guess, is all about a particular case in Atlanta in the 70s, 80s, when there were tons of young black kids being murdered, coming up dead. So Atlanta Monster is all about that. And before I discovered this podcast, I had never even heard of the Atlanta murder. So that one's also super interesting. And the guy who was found guilty is also, it's one of those cases where lots of people think he is guilty, but there is a pretty good argument for him being innocent. So that one is another great one. They also have a couple of other ones. So I think the show is called Monster, but then there's different seasons. So this one is Atlanta Monster. Okay, next is Dr. Death. You guys, this story is crazy. It's been a while since I've listened to this podcast, but there have been articles, news stories, so much going on with this guy. So long story short, not to spoil, no spoilers from the podcast, but this guy became a doctor, and how do I even put this into context? This doctor was convicted of, I forgot what his charges were, but basically he was so bad, like people would go see him for like back surgery or something and just come out completely butchered, and there were so many cases of it that he was actually charged. This is crazy, and the amount of finessing and conceiving that he did to get where he was is crazy. So Dr. Death, definitely check that one out. Don't check it out if you're about to get surgery or anything like that though, because it might freak you out. Okay, next one, another crime show, To Live and Die in LA. This one was about a girl in LA. I forgot where she was from. So she moved to LA to become an actress or pursue something along those lines in Hollywood, and she ends up dead, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on with her fiance, the fiance's father, and trying to figure out what happened to this girl. Super interesting. And this one is also, so lots of the podcasts that I listen to are produced by the same company called Wondery, and they are always so amazing. So this is another one that is a really great podcast if you're into true crime. Okay, so this next one is called Stuff You Should Know, and it's kind of just like random things that the hosts are, I believe it's two different guys that kind of just like research these random things and explain how they work or what's behind them. And I haven't listened to too many of them. I kind of like randomly, if I see one that interests me, will listen to it. Like there was one that explained how cremation works, and I was super interested in that because my grandpa was actually cremated. Let me go see what some of their episodes are, because some of them are kind of just like random things, but they're actually kind of funny and really interesting if you're into the topic. So this is on Spotify and also Apple Podcasts, as probably all of the ones I have mentioned are on multiple different podcast platforms. How Black Friday works, how safety pins work. So it's kind of like a bunch of just random stuff that they do research into. One episode was about how condoms work, so it's just kind of like, is yogurt a miracle food? How grief works. So it's kind of just a bunch of different topics that they explain how they work. Okay, so this last podcast is kind of a combination of politics, race, and culture. I think that's actually their motto. And this one is In the Thick, and they just discuss everything that's going on in the world, and they talk about how it affects different people from different communities. They talk about politics, about everything. So let me see what some of their episodes are lately. So obviously they have a recent episode about COVID, about election stuff, because we are in an election year here in America. They talk about things like civil rights, immigration, different topics. Yeah, so this one is a really great podcast. They always have different guests on it, so there's so many different perspectives, and the episodes kind of range depending on what the topic is. Some can be about 20 minutes, some are as long as maybe 45 minutes to an hour. So all of these podcasts can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any other place that you get your podcasts. If you guys have some podcast recommendations, comment them down below. Listening to podcasts is kind of just like a nice break from reading a book or watching TV. I can just throw my headphones in while I'm cleaning or going on a run and just listen to a podcast to kind of just switch it up instead of just listening to music or something like that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you guys subscribe down below. I have been posting daily videos this week because, like I mentioned, I have nothing to do because I'm stuck at home. So subscribe down below and turn on that bell notification so that you don't miss any of my videos. Hope you guys stay safe, stay inside as much as possible, and just find something productive to do if you are stuck at home like I am. See you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.